Poddin My Noggin, hosted by CK Sims, creating a platform to elevate, educate, and heal by creating a space where people can share their stories of struggle, triumph, and redemption. CKS Media.
Back to another episode of Poddin My Noggin. I am your host, CK Sims, and it's just me this week. We don't have a guest, and that's okay. Today, though, I kind of want to talk about, it's interesting because the show is about resilience, adversity, finding your own version of success, all of those things. And 2025 has been a particularly trying year, and in so many ways, actually, to be honest. Really, it's the world as a whole that's causing a lot of things for me, and I'm sure for a lot of you. I guess I'll start at the beginning. I think at the beginning of 2025, due to work sort of things that were going on, there was a lot of sort of anger inside me. Like I was just angry all the time. In reflection, I do also realize that there was like apprehension that was playing into this anger, almost like a feeling of helplessness, just sort of this kind of burning sensation, like in your guts, if you will. And I think I reached a boiling point just after, I think the second week of March was when it happened. And I kind of just lost my shit and lost my cool and made some tough decisions. And what's interesting is I felt really lonely. I live alone. And for people who have been watching my podcast since the beginning, or I've mentioned that I had a cat named Mima. She died last April, and it was really hard on me, the grief, the mourning for her. I had been toying for a long time with getting another animal, but wanting to make sure, I thought I was going to have to travel a lot for work this year. I decided that wasn't going to work for me. So when that decision was made, I realized that something I am definitely missing in my life is a better work-life balance, for one, right? Two, I don't have a companion in my home and someone to take care of. Right. And I realized I'm a huge proponent for therapy. So I've done a lot of therapy, a lot of self-reflection and internal work. I have a lot of love that lives inside, and often not appropriate places to put it, if you will. I had never had a dog before. I was going to say owned, but I don't know if I like that term. I've never had a dog before, and I was very interested in having a dog. And well, I was very particular. The story with Mima was I wanted a kitten. I was going to have a kitten, and I was never going to do a rescue. But I saw her face on Facebook one day, and she was just the cutest cat ever. I was like, nope, I want a kitten. I want a new baby that grows up with me. And then I couldn't get her out of my head from the Thursday that I saw her till the Monday morning when I finally said I have to find that post to get this cat. And that particular cat, Mima, had feline leukemia and was very symptomatic, and like 6 months is what they indicated. And I was like, okay, well, I'll take her. And for the time that she has left, I'll make sure that she knows nothing but love. She never experiences fear or hunger or thirst or any of those things. And Mima lived 8 years in love, and I don't think she experienced fear again. So I decided that I'm lonely, I'm angry, I have a lot of love to give, nowhere to put it. I'm going to get a puppy. And I was very particular. I wanted a caramel colored puppy, small breed, hypoallergenic. Those are the things, and a girl. It had to be a girl. And so I looked, and I did go through a reputable breeder. And I got myself a Shih Tzu. She's the sweetest, most cutest thing in the world. But no one told me, I had no idea how much work puppies were. And oh boy, that has been a journey. But she is worth every penny, and also worth every bit of work. Every time I had to mop my floor like twice in a day, everything. Because as much love I give to her, she gives me back tenfold. And it's like, I'm like, what is this? And she stole my heart so quickly. And she's really super cute. And she's sleeping at my feet right now. Otherwise, I would pick her up and show you. But I might do that before this episode is out. So she was a great distraction from life, and has been. And I know some people are going to be like, why do you let your dog sleep with you? But my dog sleeps with me I wanted a cuddle buddy, and she is 100% a cuddle buddy. And she's so good, like right from, like she was not even 3 months old when I got her. She came home, she went to bed with me that night. The first night was a little rough just because, well, it was new for me too to have a dog in the bed. The second night, however, since what has been perfect. So she goes to bed with me, and then when the lights go out, she knows it's time to quiet down and get comfy. And then I have sleep apnea, and when I take my CPAP mask off in the morning, then she knows that it's time to come give dad kisses and get snuggles and kisses in return, and then we're going to get up and start the day. And so that part, I can't express enough, has enriched my life so much, so much. And I mean, if you don't have an animal and you feel lonely, get yourself an animal. But I mean, they take a lot of work and they take a lot of responsibility. And like, I didn't know how much a puppy was going to take, but you know, we're moving away from the puppyhood stage at this point. But I did know that like it's a long-term commitment, and I'm not the type of person that if she'll be first regardless of what happens in life. I have plans in place if there anything to happen to me. We know exactly where she's going and who's going to care for her and how she's going to get there. Like, this is who I am. Like, so she will come before me forever and for always until her last breath, or mine. It's whatever that works out to be. There is a particular reason why I wanted to come on. So I'm the type of person who struggles quiet. I keep to myself. I don't look to be fixed by others, and that's a bad quality. So I should open up more. I know this, but I'm the type of person who will go through it, feel it, experience it, reflect on it, all of those things, and just when I come out the other side, that's when I'm more prepared to talk about it. And so the purpose of this podcast is to talk about what's going on in the world right now, and some of the things that I have realized in myself that's really important to me. When I set out to do this podcast, I was adamant that I would never bring up politics or religion. This was going to be a safe space to talk. However, I feel as though the world has come to a place where I can't not talk about politics or religion. I think just the climate right now is so messy and ugly and all of those things that I thought to myself that I'm not making a statement. I'm not really picking a side. I'm being quiet, and I guess in part complicit because I have a platform. It's very small. I mean, maybe 5 people will watch this episode or see a snippet. I know that. So, but at the same time, I don't want, when we eventually get to the other side, whatever that may be, to feel like I didn't stand up for what I believed in or call out some of the awful things that I'm seeing. And there are so many awful things that I'm seeing, so many things that I'm inundated with when I open up social media. And I feel like social media right now, the internet, the news, is so polarized, so heavy that anytime you access something outside of your home, you're being met with a barrage of hate and stories of people doing just awful things and the repercussions of that. And it's just, I think it's too much. I think it's too much for anybody to take on, to process. We live in times I didn't think we would ever find ourselves in. And I don't know how to help. So that's the helplessness, right? I don't know what to do. Like, I'm a regular person living a small life in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. I don't know what to do. No idea. And so I think today's episode is really focused around some parts of the things that I'm struggling with. And I don't know if you're struggling with them too, but I'm sure that there are people who have similar thought processes. When you're looking out, I can't pick up my phone and go on social media without getting angry. I can't pick up my phone or my computer or my tablet and see a news headline without getting angry. And I'm constantly in a state of anger, and I don't like it. I don't like it at all. And that anger is fueled by my sense of helplessness. And I try to be kind to myself and say, what can you do? And if you are unable to do anything, then how is that making you feel helpless? Or if there isn't an opportunity to do something, then you can't feel helpless because it just doesn't exist, but it has to exist, right? It has to exist in some way, some capacity. And like, I don't know what the answer is. I don't know how collectively the world, the people who believe that every single person should have the right to live unafraid, full access to healthcare without governance on their bodies. I don't know how we can collectively come together and just make that so. We thought that it was so, right? We thought that this was the status quo, and it's not now. I mean, in Canada, yes, we still hold some semblance of that. Like, even Canada right now is shocking me because the Canada that I'm seeing right now is not the Canada that I've grown up in. I'm 44 years old this summer, and I'm like, whoa, like, there's people driving around with, fuck Trudeau. I'm sure it's not him anymore. Fuck Carney now, or fuck where I'm from, Legault, which is the premier of Quebec. You have people walking with signs say the same thing and protesting, and like there's an ugliness there that's so un-Canadian that it literally cripples my brain and it makes me angry. We had an election just recently on April 28th. And these are things that I'm sharing now because I'm like, I don't care anymore. I'm gonna say what I gotta say, and then at least that's me doing something. I have never seen in my life such extremism in parties before, especially in Canada. We have had I feel like, okay, yes, we're now going into our 14th years of liberal, okay? But like, since I've been alive, we've, tipped back and forth from conservative to liberal to conservative to liberal. Each party one a little bit more reserved, the other one a little bit more liberal, but they were all relatively central, right? Like, they weren't so contrasted, if you will. And I say right now, without question, is that if the conservatives had chosen to replace Pierre Poilievre, they may have had a chance to get there. And he lost a seat, and then they're still going to keep him. Hasn't he been like the opposition leader or the conservative leader since Harper left? And that's 10 years. So that's 10 years and what now? 4 elections? 1, 2, 3, 4 elections that he's been the opposition leader and has failed to get the conservatives into. Why are you saying it? Like, is it the Trump disease that now infected Canada that they want this man who, I'm sorry, does not represent Canada? And I don't trust him. Never did. I don't. I'm sorry. I don't. If you're a conservative and that bothers you, that's fine. But I have so many issues with him. One, he's a Team U Trump. Straight up. There we go. He's little Trump. His only policy for the last 10 years is to bash Trump. He's never actually done anything in government. And his rhetoric is hate. Constant. Bashing Trudeau. That's it. That's what he was. Sure, at the end, when we were coming to election time, that sort of thing, oh yeah, he threw together some stuff and all of that fun jazz. But that was the primary piece, right? That his politics was just bashing other people. Wasn't what Pierre could truly do. And there was just something about him, about how he stood, how he acted, how he treated people, how he responded to questions that irks me. And the second thing about him was that he wouldn't get a security clearance. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but like, this is to me the same bullshit as Trump not wanting to give up his taxes because they're hiding something and couldn't be had. Not that my one vote counted for much of anything, but I did vote, and I voted for Carney because at this current state, this current sort of juncture that we're in, we need someone who's going to be strong, who doesn't have, I don't know if he has an agenda, so I can't really say that, but someone who's strong and someone who's business minded, who can counter Donald Trump. right? People can say what they want. I will tell you this, that if the Conservatives had a different leader, I might have voted Conservative this year based on the last 10 years. But because of their particular leader who was sort of touting lots of nonsense, lots of sort of same bullshit that Trump has been touting, wouldn't get security clearance. It was an absolute no. Absolute no. And I do feel that we dodged a bullet as a country. I feel that we dodged a bullet in a big way. Now, what I like is that currently the Liberals are still in power, but they don't have a majority government. And I like this because I don't think that any one party should have absolution. I think if we're going to do politics the appropriate way in Canada, as politics should be, it needs to be balanced along party lines. And I feel like we could do that. Like, we have smart people in our government that can do that. And we can create a more balanced government. And I look at what's happening in Alberta right now, and, it's one of those things. They're talking about leaving. They can't leave. That's right. But those things don't represent all people that live in Alberta. Like, that's the piece I think I need to call out, number one. Because you hear all this news and the fuck Carney people, all of that sort of thing. You hear it all, but that's not everybody. That's not every conservative there. We have to keep in mind that the ones that are full of hate are the loudest. And while we have a lot of conservative turnout in this particular election, not all of them stand for the same extreme principles that everybody else does. So we cannot group all conservatives as the people who are against kindness and freedom and all of that jazz that we appreciate and love so much in Canada. When we look at Alberta at this very moment, we're looking at the premier who gives me J.K. Rowling vibes. And I don't know her. I don't follow her enough to really have much to say about her, but just seems to be that sort of right-wing extremism that we've seen since 2016 in the U.S. creep up into our country, which is unavoidable when you think about it because we share a border. As Trump would say, a little hand-drawn border, imaginary border. It's going to happen. It's bound to happen, right? We are influenced by the U.S. We always have been. But yeah, I think I'm really happy that we found a balanced government. So liberal without majority, with the conservatives gaining an extra 20 seats, and NDP is still in there. So I think that from a government outlook for our country at this moment, Canada specifically, I think we're in a great place, and I think we will, in 4 years, see great results from that particular setup that seems to be more balanced and working for our nation. And with that, we're going to take a quick break.
Partner today with CK Sims and Poddin My Noggin to get in front of an audience that cares. You will be supporting mental health stories, tales of resilience, and uplifting content, aligning your brand with bringing goodness, authenticity, and kindness front and center. This spot could be yours. Do you have a story of struggle and resilience? One that you want to share with others and possibly help someone through their own struggles? Find the link in the show description and fill out the guest form today. Life in Stitches by CK Sims. Available for purchase in paperback and ebook on all major platforms.
Welcome back, everybody. Before the break, I have been talking about politics in Canada, and that's enough for me now, for Canada, anyway. As I was saying before, I feel like I'm angry all the time. As I was mentioning, I went and I got a dog this year to help with, just someone or something to take all the extra love I have and give it back tenfold. In addition to that, since 2025 has come in, I have been in a state of anger, and I am still in a state of anger. However, I have taken so much time to reflect on why that is. And we were talking about social media and the feeling of helplessness, right? So one thing is I want to say, to try and bring home a point, is that I feel helpless. And I'm sure there's so many people who feel helpless. I don't have the answer to what I should be doing to help people in the US, to stop Israel from fucking killing all of those Palestinians, to get Russia out of the Ukraine, to like stop ICE from deporting innocent people from the US, now citizens, to stop freaking white women in the US calling 5-year-old black autistic children the N word and then raising $1 million from other like minded, hateful white Christian nationalists. I don't have the answer. So, because I don't have the answer, I don't know what to do. And because I don't know what to do, I feel helpless. And then this leads to anger. And the point of this podcast today is to talk about that and to realize and to make sure that you understand that, like, you're not alone if you're experiencing this, because I am in it. I am experiencing it, and I'm having conversations and praying and meditating and journaling and all of those things. And I'm not coming up with a good answer as to what I can do to help. I think I'm doing a small part of what I can do to help right now. I'm using my very microscopic platform to speak out against it. If I get barred from the US because I speak truth, my truth, and the government regime that's doing their thing somehow catches on to this nobody named CK Sims, and there's repercussions because of it, I don't care. I don't care. It is sad, because if that were to happen, I could never visit the US again. And I love the US. I love the American people. I spent so much time in the US just enjoying life and shopping, eating, and all of those wonderful things, the different beautiful spaces that you have. But I don't care. If Trump finds out that I said that he is a worthless sack of shit, because that is what he is. Now, that being said, I don't wish death upon him. I do not wish him to be harmed. I wish him to be legally and legally and justifiably removed, is what I'm trying to say. He's still a human being, but he's a shitty fucking human being. And I know that there's so many of you who voted for him that are realizing now what he's done and regretting it. I know that. I see that on social media as well. But what we've done is put him in office. And this has been in motion for so many years. If you look back, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but if you look back, even before Trump came into the picture as a presidential candidate, that Republican lineup in all the houses was being like masterfully designed to be a bunch of people who would support Trump through all of the crazy, ridiculous things that he's done and he's continuing to do, and people who do not have values, not Christian values anyway, not real Christian values, who are spineless, I would say lacking a degree of intelligence, who may actually be taking drugs on a regular basis. Because if you've ever heard Marjorie Taylor Greene speak, or that Boebert bitch, the shit that comes out of their mouths, man, I'm like, do you have no shame or tact, or like what is it? There's been Republicans since the beginning of the time. I do not remember ever in my life the Republican or the Democratic side ever turning government dealings in the United States a laughable and an embarrassing fucking circus. Because that is what it is today. An absolute embarrassment and a circus. And you're all going to be, I'm sure if I ever get viewed by Americans, it's going to be like, who the fuck are you to talk about American that way? Well, I live right up top of you. Just up here, know so many of you and love so many of you and feel bad for all of them. What is happening right now? They're often too nice. They're not loud enough. So this is why you think, where's the Democrats? Where's this? Where's that? Because typically we have sense and sensibility, and it's just, we don't throw these theatrics. But however, there will come a point when they'll have no choice. That is the direction that we're leading. And misinformation. I'm at a point in my life now where I believe nothing on the internet. I believe maybe 55, 60% of what I see on news, because absolutely everything is drenched in agenda, and it's drenched in propaganda, and there's an angle to every single story. What you're hearing, what you're seeing, all of it. I mean, when you think about what happened, it's been strategic, it's been brilliant, they have completely destabilized all of media, all of it, and you can't trust anything. There's not a single network and on a single news television service, not a single article that I read that I don't question its validity, because we don't know what they're up to. And I would love actually a return to true journalism, true news reporting, where we could in fact actually trust what we're seeing. And I would love to see in Canada and the U.S. and anywhere else in the world legislation passed where facts were provided, right? This is what happens. And then if they move into an opinion of that factual story, then they have to broadcast on whatever medium they're on that is an opinion. But perhaps that's just the chevron on the bottom of the screen going across this part's opinion. And I'd like to go back to journalism where words were used, where speculation is so and so did this, or statements received in anonymity have indicated that yada yada yada, or the alleged yada yada. These are words that we need to go back to, because now it's just so and so did so and such, and that's it. There's it's the integrity of the media that's been destroyed, and we could get back to a place where we can start trusting media sources again, but there's work to be done and there's legislation that needs to be passed. And you can literally write what you want to write now with no repercussions. I mean, case in point, I'm here making a podcast about my opinions on what's happening in the world and how they're impacting. Who am I? I'm not any different than someone who's saying the hateful stuff and doing it. That's their truth. This is my truth. So I could say absolutely anything I want on this podcast right now. My integrity will not allow me to do so, but I could. And there's no checks, there's no balances, there's nothing. Free speech. But I feel like that needs to be not removed, but refined. And it's free speech, but it cannot be hateful. And it's free speech, but it cannot be misleading, intentionally misleading, if you will. I don't know. If the Shiloh lady right now is just, there are no words, and then the result of that video going viral is her now cashing in on her white supremacy, giving other people license to admit that they're supremacists. It happened with Piers Morgan just recently. Not he himself, but some bitch did. Sorry, that's all I have to say. Some woman did. And then the gentleman who filmed it, that stuck up for that kid, is receiving so much hate and death threats and everything online based on what I've seen. And I'm just like, fuck, man, that's so ugly and so awful and so messy. And how did we get here? And we got here because Trump gave people license to be racist out loud. I'm not stupid enough, and no one should be ignorant enough to say that racism didn't exist prior to Trump, because it absolutely did. Trump is not responsible for the racism. Trump is responsible for giving it a world stage and endorsing it publicly and allowing others to do it. Do you know what I mean? So that's where he stands. I just feel bad for everybody in the U.S. right now, even the ones that voted for him. I feel bad for everybody in the LGBTQIA plus community. I feel bad for all of the lives that have been torn apart since ICE has been on this mission to do deportations, and there's no due process. There's people they're ignoring court orders. And yeah, I just feel really, really bad. I feel bad for women, because women are going to be the next, I think, to find themselves in the crosshairs of this administration. And I just don't know what to do about it. I have no clue. I don't know if you do. I would love to hear what your thoughts are. I can't write a member of your government and be like, hey, cut it out, right? In addition, I'm like, that's just the U.S. side. I believe without a question that Trump should be for Trump, Vance, Musk, Kegsworth, or whatever the hell his name is. He's a good-looking fella, but he's an idiot like the rest of them. They should be forcefully removed from office. Judiciously, but forcefully removed. But if we know the Supreme Court of the U.S. is also corrupt, because it has Brett Kavanaugh, and can't remember her name, don't even care. the last of the Trumpers that were put through to the Supreme Court of Justice in the United States. And so because of that, the Supreme Court is also corrupt. I feel like America, the United States of America, is in for one hell of a ride as this unfolds. And it's not getting better. It's been over 100 days. And all of that sort of thing. Let's get back to me reflecting. This was just sort of a full unload, I guess. Protect yourself. And I don't mean, you know, well, I do mean that too, physically protect yourself as well. But what I mean is, if I think we have to be cognizant of, we're in such strange times that this is too much for our brains to comprehend, to process. Too many emotions that are being forced into our spheres when we're trying to live life, trying to do work, trying to enjoy life. It's just too much. You have to take breaks and rest. You have to turn off and disconnect. And I know that it sounds counterproductive to do that, because, like, how are you going to know what's going on? How are you going to stay up on current events? For me, I have to take a break. Not from podcasting, because I enjoy doing that and I love connecting with my guests. But I have to absolutely take a break from social media, get it off my phone, my devices, stop looking, stop engaging. I can't. And that will also mean just lesser phone time, because if you're connected, you're going to see it through social media, or you're going to see it through the news. Protect yourself. Protect your health, your mental health, your heart, your soul. And then I have to say, I've said it before. Actually, I remember now that I actually did make this statement before. I've realized since making the statement on a podcast last year that, and I knew it then as well, because I believe my sentencing or my messaging was, it's the Israeli government that's doing this, and not necessarily the Israeli people. And there are Israeli people who have hopes and dreams and all of those particular things. So we can't become like, we can't attack Jews, and I still believe that without question. But the government of Israel is murdering Palestinian people, and Hamas, yeah, not great, but it's a genocide, and it's really frustrating to look out and see so many people afraid to speak on it or do anything about it, because biblically Israel is the chosen people, and you can't go against them, because then you'll lose God's favor. Fuck that. This is not the Israel of the Bible. Sorry, it's not. And if you think it is, then you're worse off than I can possibly imagine. What the Israeli government is doing is genocide. That's it. There's nothing more to talk about. It is genocide. The longer we allow it to happen, the longer we fund them, the longer that we're fearful of going against them because they're the chosen people, the more people will die on the Palestinian side. I don't want to be on the side of history where I A, supported that, or B, it might have appeared that I was complicit in it, because I didn't say anything about it, and forcefully removed the Israeli people. It's propaganda. Again, we're seeing so much propaganda and so much like targeted messaging come up and surface. But I don't know how the targeted messaging happened to the U.S. I mean, I do, and here's where I'm going to say this. I'm being mindful of time, but I mean, it's my show, so I can say it as long as I want. There are so many white Christian nationalists, these people that weaponize Christ. These are generational ideologies. They've existed for hundreds of years, and they continue to exist because members of that ideology perpetuate it with their children. So racism isn't known when you're born. It's hatred, same thing. Just like a puppy, a child's innate nature is to love. Okay. We're looking at the result of echo chambers. I mean, you can see that in the comments that are being left on the Shiloh fundraising campaign. Echo chambers they're the worst. And they're for people who don't want to hear anything else or to broaden what their thought process is. But I would challenge anybody who's actually watching this, who is a white Christian nationalist or feels that they fit in that group of people. If you stop for a second and you said, you know what, I'm going to let go of everything I was taught from my nuclear family and those that are around my nuclear family growing up, and take a step out. And then I'm also going to let go of the religious beliefs that I have adopted through my nuclear family and my community. And I'm going to ask myself, is harming Black people Indigenous people, people of color, LGBTQIA plus people, women. Is that who I am as a person? Is that really innately, deep down, what I believe to be true and good? That's it. Is that what I believe to be innately true and good? If you can take that second, 5 minutes, sorry, let's not minimize, 5 minutes, actually do the reflection on yourself, removing the echo chambers and removing the religious program, and ask who you, just you, no noise, no outside influences, just you, if you believe that. And if you do, then that's fine. That's your truth. It's not mine. It's your truth. So, for those of you who are home who are similar to me, who are feeling absolutely helpless and maybe experiencing anger as a result of constantly spending the day shocked and inundated with like the most discouraging and depressing messages you could possibly see, the worst of humanity rising up in every corner of the world, and every time you flip on a screen and you feel helpless, okay? You're not alone. And I don't have the answer as to what it is that you can do about it. But I know that there's going to come a time when we're going to have to do something about it. And I don't know what that is, right? To those of you who are out there who are real Christians, who believe that you are to love thy neighbor and feed the poor, and clothe them, and practice the actual teachings of Jesus Christ, you may have been silent this far in fear of retaliation from other church members. You don't have to speak up. You just have to get up. You just have to get out there and lead by example. Because right now, those actions will speak far louder than any word ever. I don't know what I'm going to do. I recorded this podcast. I am in my head as I'm doing it, and I'm like, shit, do I want to put this out there in the world? And also, do I want to open myself up for potential crosshairs of anybody? But at the end of the day, I don't know, man. I just don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I just know this. There's a lot of hate in this world. It's bagging me down. I know it's bagging a lot of people down. Love will win. Just as I believe that love allowed a very symptomatic, muted ginger cat to live well beyond the initial 6 months that she was given to 8 years. I believe that love can win now, everywhere. Love does not mean or does not equate to not using force or the law to its fullest extent, but love. If you do it through love, protection of the people, the greater people. That said, I want to make one other comment though. I don't hate the people who are doing what they're doing. Can't. To them, to the people who are doing these things, I'm sure that there are some high-powered people who have agendas and whatnot, but to a lot of them, this is their truth. This is their belief system. This is what they know in their hearts to be true. So when I'm saying these things and when we're fighting against them, we know it's wrong. They don't know that. They don't think that it's wrong. They think that, we're the ones that are crazy or liberal or the woke mind virus. People have coined. And what's interesting is it's funny because it really is the woke mind virus, if you will, because people just stopped and started thinking for themselves. And as opposed to what's happening with this in the U.S. right now, the white Christian nationalists are in their Borg-like echo chambers, just perpetuating this harmful rhetoric that's been passed around and looped and all of those things, left, right, and center. But at the end of the day, whatever we do, we have to do it in kindness as much as possible, because this is happening right now as a last-ditch attempt to gain some semblance of control and normalcy back in their lives. Though their lives, their worlds were shrinking and have been shrinking for a very long time. And so their core beliefs, their truth, their religion, their values have been having pressure applied to them. White people don't know what that feel like. They don't. Predominantly, they just don't have never had to experience that, but they've been experiencing it, right? And so this is why I believe that we have seen this uptick in hate, circus freak shows happening in the Congress and Senate, absolute fucktard in the highest office in the United States, corruption in the Supreme Court. With every movement of progress they feel of them is represented in their country. I'm air quoting. I do believe that when it's all said and done, we'll have one. We'll have a mess to clean up. But I think that what we believe is going backwards is actually only going to catapult us more at some point into the direction of absolution, where every single life in the world matters. If you're Black, if you are LGBTQIA, person of color, Indigenous, woman, whatever, you have the full extent of your healthcare rights, all of those things. I really do think that this is a last-ditch effort on their part, but also a necessary catalyst to sort of bring us to a much better place. I might be wrong. I'm like, who am I? I'm just some dude from Canada with a podcast. I might be completely wrong. And I what's interesting is this is the most rawest and vulnerable episode I've ever taped, because there was no structure. I just knew I had something to say. It's just been that's just been raw. That's where I'm at. My hope is that we find a way to protect ourselves, and I mean ultimately from the barrage of hate that's happening in the world. There's so much too, like, and it's all distractions and it's all ridiculous. It's just like, God, I mean, like, I'm exhausted with all the drama and the bullshit and everything that's happening in the world, and it's just like fake and unbelievable, and yeah, it's frustrating. My hope is that we can find a way to truly protect ourselves from all of this. My other hope is that we can find a way to expedite love winning in the U.S. to not silence, I don't want to use the word silence, the racist and hateful people, because they are deserving of their voice, right? And this is the tricky, weird part for me, because I don't want to try and take someone's rights away in the fight to not take someone's rights away, right? I think what I'd like to see is deeper understanding of those systemic and generational racist beliefs, and to know that if you do the work, if you reflect, like I mentioned earlier, and you come out the other side and you realize, hey, wait, I actually am a racist and I do believe these things, now that I've dropped away those generational belief systems and value systems from my nuclear family and communities and the religious components and all of that sort of thing, then that's you. That's fine. You just can't hurt people, right? That's the key piece that I want you to take away. Is like, you can have these beliefs, but don't harm people. Don't try to like legislate their rights away. There's a lot of people on the other side of this, the non-white Christian nationalists, if you will, who are really great lawyers and judges and all of those things. Like, what if we turned around and just made it illegal to exist for you? That you're not allowed to practice your warped version of Christianity anymore. Like, we could do that. It could be done. You're doing it right now to everybody else. So it could be flipped and turned back on you. Don't want that. I want you to be free to go to your churches and you have your services, preach your sermons. I want you to be free, like everybody else, to embody your beliefs. However, I don't think anyone has a right to harm another person, whether through denial of service, denial of health care, hatred, vitriol, any of those particular things. I don't believe that anybody has the right to do that. I think that we as a people need to do better in being kind. I think we as a people need to stop dismissing these white Christian nationalists completely and actually asking them, why do you feel this way? What has led to this belief? I'd love to actually have that answer. I would, as painful and hard as it would be, I would love to actually speak to some of these people who I deem as hateful white Christian nationalists on a podcast, to interview them, to understand why they love Trump and support the things that he does, and are without judgment. I actually want to understand why you feel this way. Maybe we could all learn something by having these conversations. One thing I am very good at is having difficult conversations and maintaining emotional regulation, right? But I would want someone who was open to actually discussing the topic and answering my questions. And I wouldn't be trying to trick them. I would be looking to seek understanding. So if you are out there and you are someone who's like this Shiloh, or someone who's a huge Trump supporter, racist and whatever, I would have a conversation with you, because I'd invite you to reach out to me to have a conversation, not to try to embarrass you on the internet or put shame to you. What I want to do is to try and understand where this is all rooted, right? Because if we can learn to understand each other, we can learn to talk to each other, then maybe we can find some solutions that are sustainable and that could work. And I'm not the first person to try to do something like this or to have this conversation or any of that. I am literally just really a nobody from Canada who has a little tiny podcast. I have not made any money off of this. Very few people actually watch, and that's totally fine. I do it because I love doing it. But I would be open to having that difficult conversation or conversations to try and understand, because I don't understand racism. Like, I don't understand the belief that one grouping of people is better than the other. I don't get it. I do realize that my privilege plays into that. So I would really like to actually understand where this is rooted from, and in a non-argumentative type of way, actually. I'd like to give someone the room to let me ask the questions and to hear their honest response. But yeah, if you're one of those people and you want to have this conversation, reach out to me and we can have that conversation. And it'll be an edit-free conversation, because I don't edit my podcasts. I like things that are organic. So if we're going to have that difficult conversation, an honest one, where we're both kind and just reflective of what we're saying, then I would want, if I'm going to put it out there, I would want the world to see the whole thing. Well, I feel a little lighter, although I'm not sure what it's going to do or if it's going to do anything ever, period. But at the end of the day, I said what I said. I meant what I said. I feel angry, helpless. I've come out and I said that I do not like Trump, Vance, Musk, the whole works of them, the whole administration. I think it's a circus. I said a lot of things in this podcast, but those are my truths. And I just hope that the world can heal itself. I hope that anybody who does watch this gets something from it and realize that we're all just human beings. There's literally no difference between any of us. We're just all human beings with hopes and dreams and fears and insecurities. And some of us are louder than others, and some of us are more hateful than others, and some of us are more loving. So it's really what it is. Thanks for sticking around. And until next time, get out there and live your wildest dreams and protect yourself.
For media and sponsorship inquiries, email info@cksims.com or visit cksims.com and fill out the contact form. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. A new episode airs every Saturday. CKS Media.